I'm Kerry Peters, a recognized thought leader in the Microsoft Dynamics community and a Microsoft MVP for business applications. Welcome to the Get Your New View podcast. Keep listening to learn how we work with frustrated Business Central and NAV users who struggle to use their system and find the answers they need. We teach them to truly understand how the system can support their business processes to make immediate and lasting improvements. As a result, they get more done in less time, make better business decisions, and even love their system. In this season of the Get Your New View podcast, we will be talking with you all about training. I want to talk with you this week about how your team can understand what happens upstream from them in their processes and downstream from their processes and how this can make a difference. So how does this apply to training? This is something that comes up a lot when we set an agenda for training as we put together the configuration of some new training for companies. And it's very common for a company to say, I want for my people to receive training only in the area for which they do their work. So a great example I can think of is companies who are looking for training for people who are processing orders. So a lot of times this can be customer service departments, whoever it is that's putting together sales orders for their company. Now, if we put together training for them just on sales orders, that's fine. They're going to learn how to do their job function, and there are some particular handoff points for what happens before that and what happens after that. As an example, if we have a customer service person who is processing an order, it is possible that there was a salesperson who originated that information or that lead or that order and has passed that on for processing. In addition, once that order is completed, then there may be some effect with what happens with the warehouse, that information is passed to the warehouse so that order can be picked and shipped. And there is information passed on for invoicing, that a customer is invoiced based off of that order being completed, and that there may be some interaction with the customer related to collection of the payment for that order. So you can see that as part of the chain of events that happens when a customer places an order, the order processor is one part of many where that has to be completed in order for that process to be done. So if we think about training and what that person is going to receive in training related to their job, we really have two different levels. One is to understand the training for their area only. The other is to understand training for the areas that are upstream, sales, and the areas that are downstream, warehousing and accounting. Now you have to plan for this carefully. You can't possibly include everything, but here are the benefits about setting your agenda to be a little bit more expansive to that condition. The level of connection that your employees are able to make when they understand what happens in the departments in front of them and the departments behind them is truly valuable information. If we are not limiting information to each person's bubble, if we are allowing them to enter into each other's areas of expertise, the level of empathy that's created for how other people do their job is truly remarkable. So I recently had a company who had their ordering department and their accounting department attend all sessions. So they had some training and things that they weren't necessarily going to do, but it allowed them to understand the processes that were being accomplished in those areas and to ask questions about that. And we had so many comments and intersections on, I didn't know that you had to do that, or I could make it easier for you if I did this thing, or I'm doing this step for no reason at all because nobody uses it. These are really important discoveries to make. And I think one of my favorite ones that came out of this particular engagement is that there were quite a few people who were very much in fear of what it was the auditors were needing. So a lot of times an answer to the question for, well, why do we do it that way, was because the auditors require it. And in this particular session, the controller, who would really have no reason to be involved in the ordering process training at any other time, stepped in and said, the auditors don't ever ask for that. That's not something where we need to do that, so we can stop doing those steps. So those were some really important discoveries for that company to make. And the neat outcome of that training is that not only did they get trained on what they needed, but they actually were able to streamline their processes and create some efficiency just by the very exercise of going through training. So that wasn't anything that they intended to do. They simply wanted to get everybody up to speed with what was going on. But because they had made those connections, and because people developed empathy through what they learned in those sessions and how they could collaboratively work together, they actually were able to substantiate quite a bit of efficiency through their training. So this is a really important thing to think about as you're putting together your training agenda. Figure out what makes sense for how people can understand the big picture. Having people step outside of their job role and understand what happens upstream and downstream can actually be a huge competitive advantage to your company, because people understand the why behind what they're doing. So here's my action item for you this week. Think through the training that you're planning for your team. What is it that they need to learn individually? And then map out what is adjacent to them that would close the loop on their process and help them to understand the bigger picture. In our next episode, we're going to talk about refresher training. Why should you do it and when? I'm Kerry Peters. Thank you for tuning in to the Get Your New View podcast. For more episodes like this on YouTube, click the subscribe button and ring the bell to ensure that you get notified whenever new content comes out. If you're listening to the audio podcast, please share an honest review on Apple Podcasts. If you are ready to rethink today for tomorrow, look for the link below and contact us to speak with our expert team. You won't find the level of no-nonsense, real-world experience we offer anywhere else, and we're here to put that experience to work for you. Do you think you could use more features of your software if you just knew how? Are you frustrated with inefficiency that never seems to get better? Did your team ever really get good training to understand how to use your business software? Do you suspect that there just has to be a better way, but you don't know what that is? We believe every company can benefit from increased efficiency and higher utilization of their software, and that it's possible to have fun while learning exactly how to do that. The experts at NewView Strategies work with frustrated Business Central and NAV users who struggle to use their system and find the answers they need. We teach them to truly understand how the system can support their business processes to make immediate and lasting improvements. As a result, they get more done in less time, make better business decisions, and even love their system. Please contact us at getyournewview.com to get started.